good morning, Port Jervis, and welcome to the Port Center Spotlight Podcast. My name is Andrew Murata, proud host of the podcast, and we are on location. I'm in the Assistant Superintendent for Busienss office here, Mr. John Timm. Good morning, Mr. Timm.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in
you. Good morning,
today.
Port.
Yeah, how you feeling today?
Feeling good. Yeah, actually doing well. Yeah.
You ready?
Good week to re-energize and get a few things done, take a couple of days off. So, and get ready to go to the stretch. So it's middle of budget season and ironing out some last few minute things. But other than that, we're good to go.
You have a Sharpie in your hand. I like to write when I have an eraser here to make sure if I make any mistakes. But
that's
you're
the same thing you use with your golf cart. I hear.
Mr. Timm is our Assistant Superintendent for Busienss. If you are watching live, jump in and say hello. Let us know where you're coming from. Mr. Timm is a former school administrator himself, and you are now ending your fourth year here with us.
Coming up on 4 years in August. So
yeah,
it's quick.
Well, it's April 16th. Yesterday was tax day, but
Yes.
It is school budget season, school board elections vote, and really, this is your time here.
It's prime time.
You've been grinding. Your office, your desk over there looks neat, but there's a few high piles.
Oh, yeah.
I know you've been busy. So let's get to the highlights, Mr. Timm, about this year's school budget.
So the biggest highlight is that we are proposing our fifth 0% tax increase, which deserves the honor.
Absolutely deserves.
The budget itself increased a little bit over $7 million. It'll be $103,950,000, about a $7 million increase with a 0% tax increase, which is phenomenal. One of the things that increased the budget is for a lot of the projects, which we'll discuss in a few minutes, we went out and borrowed. And what happens is that increases your expenses, but on the revenue side, we receive aid exactly the same amount. So it doesn't cost any addition. We get back in aid as much as we're borrowing. So the budget grows, but it doesn't increase our expenses more than our revenue. So that's a lot of people look at the 103. Oh my God, we just hit over 100 million, but really focus on the 0% tax increase because that is what affects the home. So
yeah. John, I've been around a long time, and I know some people, 0% tax increase. But then there's other people that say, 0% tax increase. Talk to me about the pluses and the minuses of making that decision to go 0%.
So one of those is that, with COVID, we had an influx of money, and then there was a correction in state aid, which bumped us up a couple years ago. So I've spent the last 4 years kind of what I call right-sizing the budget. And when you fund balance has been increasing over the last few years, and we've always had a healthy fund balance, that's really a result of underspending and creating a budget that's larger than your underspending. So what I've done is right size that. The message I need to get to the people is this is most likely going to be the last zero, and now we have to get back into the habit of increasing a little bit and get back into that habit, because there might be an unpredictable year where we have to go out and get a lot of money, but we're on a cap. So if I don't start increasing that amount, plus the expenses things are with inflation right now, health insurance, our contributions to retirement, health insurance. Oh my gosh, it is very expensive for the district. I don't have those figures, but in front of me, but it's the rate goes up 3 to 5% every year, but the contributions to the employee don't go up that much. So we bear the burden of the increases. And so, we've done some slight increasing in the contribution of our employees, but it still doesn't cover the overall increase, the expense of health insurance. So, but inflation,
gasoline, utilities, everything's up.
I use the analogy of paper. If I put $10,000 as a budget for paper and I keep it 10,000, you're getting less paper next year. It's really what it comes down to.
Does it cost more money?
Yeah, absolutely. So you think about that for every line. You have to do increases incrementally to keep your basic inflationary rate. If it's 5%, you have to increase that 5%. So, but I call it right sizing, and we're getting to the point now where we'll start seeing less go back into the fund balance, and I call them tighter numbers is really what it is. And so I feel confident moving forward. We're in a good spot. We're in a healthy spot, but we have to get out. Our message to the community is 5 years, We're right-sized. And on top of that, when we're going out and doing these projects, which I could lead into right now, we're on phase 5, which will be proposed to the community, and that will be air conditioning and a new roof for the 209 complex. Yes.
Hold on, let me write that one down.
Yeah.
Air conditioning in all, well, it's
So
in
right now
now,
it's
right?
in East Main.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
last year we passed a vote for HB for a new roof and air conditioning. And phase 5 will be air conditioning and a new roof at 209 complex. So, Dr. Bell had enough foresight to go ahead and do this. It turns out that they have enacted some state laws that if it's too hot,
Yeah.
you have to shut down school. So this was before that initiative came out. So we're ahead on that. So there'll be some schools there's schools right now because of that heat index rule that are scrambling for money.
Mm-hmm.
And we've found that money. So I find it difficult to go out and pass these phases, getting turf fields, redoing schools, and then giving a tax increase, because people kind of say, well, you're increasing our taxes to get a football field. And it's not necessarily the way it works, but that's the perception. So hopefully we're winding down with our phases. Dr. Bell jokes phase 10, but phase 5, and we'll let things settle down and go from there. But we have a facilities condition survey coming up soon, which will do an analysis of our entire facilities and kind of get back to us as to what we need to fix. I can't imagine there being anything really that we need to kind of go out there and fix, because we've been ahead of it at this point. But there might be some things that need, and those will probably go into the future budgets. But once again, we've got enough fund balance, we have enough in terms of our return, our ratio that we get back, that we're in a healthy spot. It's the time right now. We're at like 92% or 90% return on building aid.
Is that a challenge, Mr. Timm? We always hear, oh, it's reimbursable. We get refunded from the state. Is that like, you got to keep calling them? Like, is it a pretty easy process? Hey, we're due X amount from last year. You submit the file, and then all of a sudden the money comes back to you.
Debbie Wright, our treasurer, does a lot of the back part of this in terms of making sure those payments come through. But I work with our bond counsel, and I know bonds, I understand investments, but we hire people, our bond counsel, to go out and advise us on how to borrow money.
Yeah.
So I rely on people around me. There's no doubt. So is it a painful? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work tracking it, making sure it's the right decisions, but I do have assistance. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. And friends, community members, you're watching, certainly if you have a question, please throw it in the chat there. But when you drive around the district now, when you walk around, even the purchasing of Pike Street here, everything looks great.
There's no doubt. The places,
East Main, you mentioned the athletic facilities, but they look great.
They do. Everything, the turf fields are just incredible.
Yeah.
There's nothing pretty about HVAC other than it feels great. But the appearance stuff has been amazing. Those turf fields they're incredible, with the big scoreboards, and that's what we've been working on. And Dr. Bell came in and had this vision, and he's living it through. So
and you got to make sure we pay for it.
Yeah.
Figure out how to pay for
it.
Say,
right?
But also, like I know Dr. Bell has mentioned, we have the largest increase in enrollment in Orange County. It's becoming a desirable place to live and work and be. And it's just great to see the positive momentum.
Why wouldn't you send somebody here now? It's always been a great district, but with these facilities, it's shinier, it's more attractive. You'll see enrollment going up in the next couple of years.
Yeah, fantastic.
We'll get people moving in. There's a big initiative right now. These smaller districts, the theory is that the state is going to restrict them to the point where they have to go to other districts. I wouldn't be surprised if some other district comes to us, some local district that's struggling. So look out for that. I mean, that's, we'd be carrying another district basically. So
yeah, there's a lot of chatter about restructure and all of that kind of stuff. Mr. Timm, in addition to budget season, it's also hiring season.
Yes.
And again, Port Jervis has become a desirable place here, people wanting to come and work, wanting to be here. But there's a cost to that.
Yes.
Maybe it is a teacher.
I don't know what that is.
Maybe it is a teacher in another district who, has a few years experience. It's not just necessarily a rookie teacher that's starting at salary step number one. There's a cost to that. Talk to me about the hiring now in terms of Port Jervis. We meet a great candidate.
Yeah.
They've been teaching 10 years at X school. We want them. There's a cost there. How do you factor in those decisions?
The biggest problem here is there's a shortage of teachers.
Yeah.
So we have to go out, and it would be great getting a kid out of college, step one, single health insurance, not a family plan. It'd be the least expensive way to go. What's great about what we're doing as a district is we're hiring early. If you wait, you don't get the cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm.
We pretty much, I think we're done. I think they just filled the last 2 spots the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That's early. That is fantastic. That's getting the best.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's going to cost us a few steps to get people, but it's amazing how many people want to work here.
That's right.
From local county schools. We joke and say we're stealing them, but in reality, that we can be competitive salary wise. The last budget meeting, I talked about how many people we have on top step. We have a heavy high. We have a lot of people close to retirement. We had 6 people retire this year. We only filled 5 positions. That saves a position. And then there's this thing called breakage, because if somebody's making over 100,000 and we hire somebody at 80, you're making that breakage right there. So we can not have to go at step one. We can go a few steps higher and be competitive. So
that extra money then from a salary that was 100,000, now it's at 70. That 30,000 then goes back into our general fund.
that's right.
Where we can.
Yep. And then I can hire people. I can be a little bit more competitive with salaries, but I'm still saving money. And I did an analysis. Forget the 5 or 6 that retired this year. There are 25 teachers that are within the next 3 years that are eligible to retire.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So you take those.
That's a large number.
Yes, you take those. I think that deserves a horn. So you take that, and the problem really is that there's a shortage of teachers, qualified. It's not. There's a lot of perks to education. And I taught as well and was a principal as well, and I enjoyed every bit of that. But this next generation doesn't see that the reason to do it. So but the ones that we get are amazing. So they're passionate about it, and there's a lot of good candidates. And like I said, we went out early, and you got to get the cream of the crop and pull them in and get them committed. So, and we've done that. We've done a great job doing that. So
it's exciting. Certainly bringing new people in. Mr. Timm, as principal, I knew when my phone rang, a lot of times it was a problem, right?
Yeah.
People were looking for me to solve a problem. When your phone rings now, a lot of times it's somebody asking, can we buy this? Can we purchase this? Can we do this? So they're not problems, but they're financial questions. Yeah. Every time the phone rings, right? Every time we're at a meeting, hey, this is a great program. How are we going to pay for it? What does that feel like to constantly, because you're worried about keeping the budget under this number. You know what that number is. Yep. But wow, this looks great. Hey, we want to add this. Hey, we want to do this. What's that like when the phone rings or it comes up in a meeting for you to constantly be getting that? Can we do this?
So I have to admit that the first 3 years here, we were in a situation where I said yes a lot, but now I have to be Dr. No. So I have to start making those decisions because we are so tight. And, it's really the return on the investment. I'll do an analysis on that and kind of figure out whether, is the investment in this going to come back to us? Where will it save us money? Because some of these things that you front money on, you end up saving money on. Mm-hmm. You go out and, we were spending a lot on home instruction, for instance, but we bought some software, which was pretty pricey, but that decreased the cost of home instruction dramatically. So there was an investment, the return saved, and that's kind of what I look at. So, but you're right. Now, what's great is I have a great team here, and you're right. The phone call is always going to be an issue because if it wasn't an issue, somebody else would have answered the question for me. Debbie would have handled it. Jen would have handled it. Payroll would have handled it. But if it's a contentious thing, then it comes to me. So every question to me is contentious. So but it's fun. You know what? you talk about quality of leadership. You have to have empathy, be a good listener, and hear both sides and get to the point where, what would do the least amount of damage in the situation. So you have to be a good listener and you have to stay calm.
He does that. A lot of times the answer is, let me work on that.
Yeah.
Right? Let me work on that.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job with it.
I don't want to make I am not a knee-jerk reaction guy.
Yeah.
I have to sleep on it. And, how many emails I've written and waited till the next day because I didn't want my emotions to get involved in it.
Yeah.
So, and that's, you're a podcast guy. You hear that on podcasts all the time. Don't write an angry email or don't respond right away. Let it. And I'm a true believer in things work out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you just go through the process, you don't have to rush. Take your time. The solution will come and it'll figure itself out. So, and I've got great people around me that I can gather as much information as possible, get educated on the issue or whatever it is that we're making a decision on, and then go from there. But it ultimately is my decision. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned about spending money, right? But then saving money. So a couple of things, big investments are the safety, right?
Yes,
We've increased our safety. We have a lot more of these now, right? Doors automatically lock and things like that. But I also know we have some conversations happening regarding solar power, which could eventually eliminate our electric bill here in the district. Where are we at with that project? Is that coming to the table here?
Dr. Bell just came into my office this morning and told me that we're at the point where we're going to be putting out an RFP, a proposal very soon to have somebody do that job. So we've been dragging along. What's the name of the property?
Vicaretti property.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have multiple acres, but we're only allowed to use about 6 or 7 acres, maybe a little bit more, but I know it's under 9.
Because of the floodplain?
Yeah, it goes down into a floodplain and then it shrinks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But reality is, if we do this initiative, we'll be saving we won't have any electric bills.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible. But even
and it's making a statement, it's making a statement that we're environmentally conscious, and there's a lesson here. A lot of these programs will get the students involved and make them knowledgeable about this, and so it's a win-win all around.
But in every room now in the district, there's a sensor, right? And if there's no movement, if that light was left on 10 years ago, well, guess what? It's staying on all night. If now they get turned off, including large places like the gym, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of savings.
Mine does the same thing.
Yeah.
It turns off by itself. So back on safety, a little bit in terms of the investments on that, we've done a lot. With Justin Bosch from facilities. He's an amazing, and we push each other and we coordinate and work well together. But between hiring an additional SRO, so we have one for every building plus a floater, and then we went out and we beefed up our safety personnel, which is a great position. It's somewhere between a monitor and SRO, and a lot of
security,
a lot of retired law enforcement people, either from the prisons or from being an officer, and they're just a great presence. So that in itself, on top of, we've done the film on the windows, which is the armored one, which would slow down an intruder. Every window in this district on the first level has armored one.
Yeah.
And if you Google it and watch a video of it, it's amazing. You could shoot at it and take the butt of your gun, and it takes a good 2 minutes to get through that.
Yeah.
That's what could save a kid's life. And on top of that, the swipes, which we're incrementally phasing that in with different phase numbers. But right now, EME has it, and HB is almost done. And we'll go to the 209 complex. So we'll get rid of all keys. The advantage is, if somebody leaves the district and takes a key with them, we're breaching safety. So with this, somebody leaves, IT will deactivate their swipe. We can go from a lockdown, and automatically locks all the doors. There's a lot of advantages.
Even the cost difference. So
and that's
the keys aren't cheap.
Somebody has to manage that. Write that down.
Oh, I remember.
Keep her the keys. So.
Mr. Timm, anything else you want to talk about with the budget?
No, we're good there. I mean, it's just trudging along. It's
a couple dates coming up.
Here's the problem: the state hasn't passed their budget.
Okay.
They were supposed to pass April 1st. Now we have these deadlines coming up, so we have to kind of, I get emails on how to guide us through this, but we're taking estimates really.
April 1st is an April Fool's joke. On
Yeah,
their end.
no, you're right. I mean, it's
They
what
not
now,
kidding.
the 16th, and no word on that.
Nothing.
And what's tying them up are non-educated related, not educational related items.
Yeah.
So, and we'll hear soon. So,
Well, some of our deadlines at our school board meetings, the 24th, the Board of Education will adopt
Yes.
the proposed budget.
yes, next Thursday, I believe that is,
Okay.
the 24th. So I have to propose a budget that I don't have a state final number on, which is kind of crazy, but
Okay.
we'll figure it out. It all works out.
May 6th, then there's a public budget hearing.
Right.
There'll be conversations, opportunity for the public to come
Question and answer, and
Yeah.
come in, and pick it apart.
and you give all the numbers,
Yep.
all of that stuff will
I
be out there.
present the line by line budget, and
Bring your
it's sharp and pencil that's in the books by that time.
That's right. Okay.
And then by just, people that have concerns. And, I've been very lucky. The board and the community has entrusted me tremendously. I got to tell you, the board is phenomenal. I try to simplify. You've seen my presentations. I don't try to overspeak anybody. I break it down, and they've commented about that. And, budgets and numbers can confuse people because it is it's not like a regular business. It's a completely different language and concept. So, and I've learned it, and my teaching skills have kicked in and helped me present that to people in a great way. So I'm very fortunate that way.
That's May 6th, and then the board elections and the budget vote is May 20th,
Yes.
Tuesday, May 20th.
Yes.
So let's get out that vote, and then the adoption is the May 21st.
Yep. The day after.
So we got a month here, 6 weeks of this process. Mr. Timm's available. I know he
Absolutely.
picks up, answers his email, picked up the phone. There's people coming in here, having conversations, and very approachable, but certainly very knowledgeable.
Certainly. Anytime. Come on in
this process.
So, give me a call.
And again, if you put a question in there now, we're live, so we can answer that now. But I'll monitor that chat too to see if any questions come in.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but we've been very fortunate. Our budgets have passed. As a building principal, former building principal, if there was somebody I wanted to hire and I really was advocating and they were up a little bit on that step, generally the answer was yes, we're going to get that person to invest in our kids. A lot of benefits there. It's just great to see all the things around that the money is spent on.
A lot of great things happen here at Port. So
okay. You have a couple minutes. Can we chat about you a little bit? Get to know you a little more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Timm, again, Division I football player, Boston University.
Yes.
We joked off air, Port Center. Well, you were the center on the team.
I thought that's what you were getting at. I thought that was a pretty good play on words.
Name the show. Well, Mr. Timm was our first annual. We had a college kids that wanted to play in college event, and Mr. Timm was one of our speakers.
Yeah, what a great night.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
So it was nice. I mean, Lauren and John were there, and it was great to hear their experiences and just listen to their experiences and comparing to mine. But it's a whole lifetime ago, so I don't necessarily even like to talk about it much. But it was great to see parents and students there, kids that were aspiring to go to the next level. And, I have my own son that's, 3 children. I have one son that's currently went through the whole process to get recruited and is now playing football at Buffalo. So I've taken my own experiences with recruiting and his experiences, and there's a lot to share there from 2 angles. So, he's playing, I played, I got some playing time. He's getting some burn, as they call it, So it's fun to share. It's really fun to share. And, hopefully it's the start of something that could really pick up. Yeah. And I know with the networking skills that, we're going to make a few changes here and there, and hopefully it'll grow. But it was nice to share that stuff and hear everybody else's stories. And, based on the questions, you could tell whether they were engaged. They were engaged. So
yeah. Couple more wanted to go play in college, and a few said the same for me. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it does a lot for you.
So talk to me, Mr. Timm. What are some lessons that you, as a former Division I college football player, I know BU doesn't have their football program anymore, but what are some lessons that you took from that time that you still use today as a dad and certainly as a school leader here?
Well, it really teaches you time management and character. during those times when I first got there, I hit rock bottom. I was told I wasn't going to play, but but I figured it out. And if I got through that, I can get through anything in life. They teach you how to be calm, fight through things, think through things, and you will succeed. And I've taken that model with me everywhere. It can only get better. And I use that line around here when somebody's struggling with something.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better. We just got to get through the tough time first. So I think that's the number one lesson, and you're part of a team, you're part of camaraderie. You take the input of everybody around you, you feel that energy, you feel the energy around you, and you work off of people. And, I still get together with these guys X amount of years later, every summer.
Your team.
That's the bond that we have.
Yeah.
There's 5 or 6 of us that get together every year, and it is a given that we're gonna do this until we drop dead. So some people short sooner than others. So, but anyway, it's fun, and I've bonded with these guys, and same thing here. I bonded with this community. I'm not a poor person. I commute an hour from here, but I slowly feel like I'm part of the community, and that's a true that you can attribute that to the people here. They're very welcoming.
We forgive him wearing a blue shirt here on the program. It's okay. We forgive you. Shout out to your son, John Timm, is watching.
I'm sure he's got some funny stories coming at.
A few, I can imagine. But we had a chance to go watch your son play at LIU in my hometown, Staten Island.
Right.
That was nice. We broke bread. Your brother was there.
Yeah, he was a character.
Got the VIP section.
Yeah. Free chili or something like that.
That was great. But his son, very exciting year about college athletics and the transfer portal. Your son had Luke's first name? Jake. Jake had he put his name in the portal. He played 4 years at LIU, had one more year eligibility, and he's going to be starting for University of Buffalo, major Division I football this fall. Very exciting.
Up from I get them backwards, but from FCS to FBS. So,
very exciting.
It's definitely another level. Buffalo's had a good program. So
for you to see your son out there doing what you did, what's that like for you as a dad?
Oh, I can't even, without choking up, I just leave it at that. It's fun. We are absolutely enjoying it. And, I was never that crazy wacko football father. I just kept my mouth shut and, guided him through, never made decisions for him, but told him we'd sit and do plus and minuses, do a checklist and let my kids, with all my kids, let them process and come up with the answer, and if John's listening, he kind of knows what I'm referring to right now. So he has an opportunity that he has to kind of do checks and balances and figure through. And as a father, I don't give, I only give advice. I don't tell my kids what to do, but we process why you would want to make this decision over the other one. So,
and even during again this assembly night in the fall, your son Jake was going through it. I mean, literally
at that time,
right there. It was a day or two afterwards he had made that decision, and
he wasn't even going to go in the pool. Which is crazy. And then he ended up getting a bunch of offers. He came down to Western Michigan and Buffalo.
It's interesting.
And so there's this. The transfer portal is crazy. NIL money thing is just crazy. Yeah.
We might be getting some of that here one day. That'll be another conversation.
That's when I quit.
What was it like for you to see the Raider football team this year go through that and win that state championship? What was that like?
Amazing. No, that's just amazing. I've been on the sidelines to watch these kids. One of the questions we talk about with Port Pride is, but they breathe it, man. Like the feedback we get about the sportsmanship from all of our programs is incredible. We are a gritty community and a gritty bunch of kids that at the end of the day are polite, and caring, and you to get that feedback from refs and other coaches that your guys handle themselves with such class.
We got the email from one of the people in the state playoffs there. Dr. Bell got it from their superintendent just about the interactions and our parents, the kids. So it was awesome.
No, it's that makes you feel good about things because kids will show them their true characters on the field. You know, like there's a lot of jawing going on out there, and some really inappropriate things are said. And to hear that our kids are not participating in that it makes me feel good, you know, that we got good, wholesome kids. So,
wow. Great job putting this all together. I know you got a lot to do, so I appreciate certainly some time here this morning.
No, it's great being on. Thank you.
And on behalf of the district, we wish everyone, you know, certainly happy Easter, happy Passover. The district is going to be closed here Friday
and Monday. The district's not closed. Correct.
But there's no school. And then there's one more snow day after that, I believe.
Yeah, which I think we're tagging on to Memorial Day.
We'll see. We'll see with one of these school board meetings here. Well, thank you, Mr. Timm. Thank you for your work. It's not easy. Right? Those are some big numbers, and there's things that people are passionate about. Certainly, their children in school is one of them.
That's right.
But they're wild.
Of course,
it's people's money, hardworking people's money. So we appreciate the work you're doing there. You're balancing the individual family budgets versus the good of the district here, and we're at a good spot.
That's where it's my job: represent the community and do what's best for kids. And that's every day my struggle. Thank God I drive an hour because I have to think about it the whole way here. So.
Well, this is John Timm, everyone. John, before we let you go, again, you're finishing your 4th year here with us. You've learned about Port Pride. What does it mean to you?
I hinted to it. To me, it's about community. You know, people say, "What's it like?" I just say, "It's the community. It's just incredible." There's a tightness, there's a fierceness, there's a grittiness, but also everybody's caring. And I remember the first interview I came on. I drove in, I grabbed a cup of coffee, and the person was so polite. And I tell you, when you talk about a turning moment, I walked out of that and I said, "Wow, this place is something else."
There we go. I like it.
That person doesn't even know that they I chose this place. You know,
you better go back and buy them a cup of coffee because you've been a good addition here for sure.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, good. Well, shout out to your family that's watching, and certainly, again, wishing everyone happy holidays. Mr. Timm, thank you.
All right, my brother.
All right. Again, those dates, friends. The adoption of the budget, April 24th. The public budget hearing, you're certainly welcome to come, is May 6th. And then the vote to get out and vote for the budget is the 20th, as well as our board elections. And then that budget gets locked in the next day.
The next night. So
off to the 2026, the 25-26 school year.
That's right. Always thinking a year ahead.
Always a year ahead. So, all right, friends. Thanks so much, Mr. Timm. We're going to get rolling. Enjoy your day. And
thank you so much.
Can I get a go port?
Go port. Let's go.
Bam.